Here's a question that I received about spiritual direction. Quote, could the Archbishop explain spiritual direction, training and education, who could or should receive it, and how it benefits the individual and the Church as a whole? End quote. Well, let me begin by offering a very broad understanding of spiritual direction. The two words in that phrase are very important. The word direction refers to someone, a directee, who is headed somewhere, following a certain path in their life. Implied in that is also a director, someone who is guiding that person in the goals of their life. The term spiritual clarifies that all of this revolves around the spiritual life. The direction one is going in is toward a spiritual end. This is not counseling in simply emotional, financial, or work-related matters. Spiritual direction is a spiritual kind of counseling. It is a relationship between a director and a directee, in which the director is helping the directee to better understand the spiritual life, and more particularly, how the Holy Spirit may be guiding the directee to follow Jesus Christ and be his disciple. So spiritual direction is first of all about a relationship, and it's a relationship ultimately fostered and guided by the working of the Holy Spirit. Now we could say that spiritual direction occurs every time we read an inspiring book, or hear an uplifting sermon, or even watch a particularly poignant movie. In these moments we are being directed by the Lord to follow in his ways, to be obedient to his call in our life. Never ignore the impact of such testimonies in your spiritual life. But beyond this, spiritual direction, as most people speak of it, is a personal relationship between a director and a directee, in which the directee shares with his or her director what is happening in their heart and soul, and in their daily life. As you might imagine, that relationship must be trusting, respectful, and professional. Trusting because the directee will be sharing very personal stories and feelings. Respectful because the directee must feel total freedom in sharing their life with the director. There can be no shame or ridicule in what is shared. Professional because the relationship between the director and the directee must be discreet and honorable in all things. Between director and directee, there should be no bonds of affection such as good friends might share. In many ways, it will resemble the relationship between a medical doctor and his patient. So, who can be a spiritual director? Well, to guide another, a director must be a person of prayer. They must have a keen awareness of the spiritual life, of the ways in which the Holy Spirit works. There is a spiritual wisdom that a directee would be looking for. Good spiritual directors would normally be receiving spiritual direction themselves as well. Thus, there are programs that a potential spiritual director would take to prepare them for this ministry. I know of two such programs here in Alberta. The Studion School for Spiritual Directors, operating out of the Star of the North Retreat Centre in St. Albert, and the Presence program offered at Providence Centre in Edmonton. Both of these are two-year programs. A key word and concept in spiritual direction is discernment. Discernment is the practice of listening to the movements and promptings of the Holy Spirit in one's life. As such, it is not a one-time need where you might have one single issue that you wish to have answered in one sitting. The director and directee would sit down on a regular basis, say once or twice a month. Over several sessions, the director assists the directee in listening deeply to the Holy Spirit's activity in the directee's life. The director cannot tell this person what to do. He doesn't take control of the directee's life. Rather, he assists the directee in understanding how the Holy Spirit may be at work in their life so that he or she may make good and sound decisions in their life of faith. So why seek spiritual direction? Well, if one wants to live a life of faith, to listen for God's call, they obviously need to understand what God's will is for them. An obvious occasion for this is when someone is about to make a life-altering decision. Should I become a priest? Is that God's call for me? Should I enter the convent? Should I get married? And further, should I get married to this particular person? Should I make a career change? Is God really calling me to be a teacher, a nurse, a lay missionary? Are such thoughts my own imagination, or are they really promptings by God? Again, the director is not going to have the answer for the directee, but is going to help the directee make his or her decision based on what is felt to be God's will. There are some people in our archdiocese who have taken one of the training programs that I just mentioned. If anyone is listening to this is looking for such a director, contact us at the Chancery office and we'll try to help you find someone suitable for you. That's it for today. Do keep your questions coming. Until next time.